Welcome back, listeners. Looks like another busy day in the markets.
Definitely keeping us on our toes.
Meme coins making headlines again. Remember Haley Welch? The Hawk Tuah girl?
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Went viral for that street interview.
Well, she launched a meme coin, HIWK.
Hmm.
It exploded, $425 million market cap. And then
Just as fast.
just as fast. And now
Accusations flying around. Insider trading, misleading investors. It's
it's a mess. She's denying any wrongdoing, but
that some big names are weighing in on this.
yeah. Even Satoshi Kusama, the lead developer of Shiba Inu,
Oh, wow.
said they were approached to promote HIWK, but they declined.
Interesting.
Mark Cuban chimed in too.
Interesting.
Said he feels for Winch, but
Yeah, I saw that.
thinks maybe she didn't fully grasp what she was getting into with all this.
Yeah. He's been pretty vocal about his dislike for meme coins in general.
Oh yeah, call them a game of musical chairs with money.
Ah, apt analogy.
So word of caution for anyone thinking of jumping into that. Now let's shift gears to the Fed. Seems rate cuts might be happening slower than some hoped.
Right. Investment manager Ross Gerber, he's saying don't get too excited about quick cuts in 2025
Yeah, he's predicting a slower pace,
than anticipated.
even though the CME FedWatch tool. It predicts a 95.4% chance of a 25 basis point cut at Wednesday's Fed meeting. That would only be the third reduction since September, though. Gerber, he thinks the economy is stronger than many realize. November retail sales were better than expected.
Inflation's still a factor, though.
Yeah, hanging around 3%.
Which could explain the Fed's more cautious approach.
Now, for our investors out there, we've got a whole stack of shareholder alerts.
Yeah.
The law firm Conswick and Fody,
I know that.
they're issuing alerts about potential class action lawsuits against a whole bunch of companies.
Okay. Which ones?
Let's see, Cassava Sciences, Marqeta, Toronto Dominion Bank, Caverna Therapeutics, Five9, Symbotic, Rent-to-Kill Initial, Match Group, Zeta Global Holdings, Celsius Holdings, Visa, PCS Group, and ASML Holding.
Wow, that's quite a list.
Yeah, we'll post the full list on our website. But if you've lost money in any of these companies, you might want to check it out.
Definitely worth looking into.
These lawsuits they allege a whole range of wrongdoings that could have impacted share prices. And Conswick and Fody, they've got pretty good track record with these cases.
They do.
And with former Louisiana Attorney General Charles C. Fody Jr. as a partner,
Right.
they've got some serious legal expertise.
So let's break down some of these cases, starting with Cassava Sciences.
Right.
They're facing a lawsuit over their leading drug candidate, Simufilam.
Right.
It failed to meet its primary endpoints in a recent study,
So it didn't perform any better than a placebo.
basically. And
Right.
after this news, their share price,
I bet it tanked.
it plummeted about 83%, went from $26.48 per share down to just $4.30.
Ouch. All right. Next up is Marqeta.
Okay.
Their lawsuit alleges they downplayed regulatory hurdles
Hmm.
that were impacting their business,
Interesting.
which forced them to cut their fourth quarter guidance.
So a transparency issue?
Yeah, exactly.
Investors need companies to be upfront about challenges and risks.
For sure. Now, Toronto Dominion Bank, or TD for short,
Right.
they're in hot water over some regulatory issues with their anti-money laundering program.
Oh, I read about that. Caught the attention of various U.S. government entities.
Yeah, and it led to a hefty penalty, $3.09 billion.
Wow.
And an asset cap, too.
Yeah.
Restricted their U.S. subsidiaries from expanding beyond $434 billion.
That's significant.
So their shares, they tumbled initially, went from $63.51 to $59.44.
Mm-hmm.
And then further down to $57.01 in the following days,
Underscores the importance of regulatory compliance.
especially in finance.
Absolutely. Now, Caverna Therapeutics,
Yeah.
their lawsuit stems from their February 2024 IPO, and it involves their lead product candidate, KYV-101. It was undergoing clinical trials.
No.
The lawsuit claims that while they highlighted patient improvement based on certain indicators, they allegedly failed to disclose less favorable data from one of the trials.
Oh, so they may have cherry-picked the positive data
Potentially.
to make their IPO more attractive.
It's possible. Transparency is crucial, especially during an IPO.
For sure. All right, Five9. They specialize in cloud contact center solutions.
Right.
Their lawsuit comes from some less than stellar financial disclosures. They had to reduce their annual revenue guidance
I see.
and admitted they were no longer assuming a dollar-based retention rate inflection in the latter half of the year.
Okay.
They blamed it on constrained and scrutinized customer budgets and uncertain economic conditions.
Sounds like their projections were a bit off.
Yeah, reality check for 5.9.
Their share price took a hit, over 26% drop, from $42.47 to $31.22.
Ouch. Now let's look at Symbotic. They focus on warehouse automation.
Yeah. Okay.
Their issue stems from some accounting problems.
Yeah.
They had to restate their fiscal year 2024 financial results.
And why was that?
Errors in revenue recognition related to cost overruns.
Essentially, they miscalculated the profitability of some projects.
Yeah. So their reported revenue, income, and gross margin all had to be adjusted.
That's never good.
Not for investors. Their shares plummeted 36%, closing at $24.
So a bookkeeping error with some major repercussions.
Exactly. Highlights the need for accurate financial reporting and strong internal controls.
Agreed. Moving on to Rentokil Initial.
The pest control company.
That's the one. Their lawsuit centers on a trading update they issued.
Right. They drastically reduced their organic revenue growth expectations for North America in the second half of 2024. They initially guided for
much higher growth, I presume.
Yeah, much higher. Now they're saying it'll only be around 1%.
And what's the reason for this?
They cited lower than anticipated trading in July and August, plus some modest disruption from branch integration.
So a mix of internal and external factors.
And their ADSs, they dropped over 21%. Went from $31.60 to $24.95.
A substantial hit.
Yeah. Now Match Group, the company behind Tinder, their lawsuit focuses on their projections for Tinder's recovery. They're accused of downplaying the challenges Tinder was facing and underestimating the risk that its monthly active users wouldn't rebound as quickly as they predicted.
So they missed their projections.
Yeah, and investors were not happy.
Right. They were expecting a faster recovery for Tinder.
All right, Zeta Global Holdings. They're a data-driven marketing technology company.
Okay.
Their case involves some pretty serious allegations.
Like what?
The lawsuit claims they use questionable tactics to artificially inflate their financial results.
Oh, wow.
Things like two-way contracts, round-trip transactions, and even something called predatory consent forms.
Predatory consent forms, what are those?
Basically, websites or apps designed to trick users into giving consent for data collection.
Oh, I see.
The lawsuit alleges these consent forms were a major driver of Zeta Global's growth.
That raises some ethical questions about their business practices.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Celsius Holdings, the energy drink company.
Right.
Their lawsuit stems from their dealings with PepsiCo.
Okay.
The lawsuit claims Celsius overestimated product demand and sold too much inventory to PepsiCo.
Overselling.
Exactly, pushing more than the market could handle.
And as PepsiCo started working through this excess inventory,
Celsius's sales took a hit.
Makes sense.
Now, this one's a bit surprising. Visa.
The payments giant.
Yeah. They're facing a shareholder lawsuit because of an antitrust lawsuit filed against them by the U.S. Department of Justice.
Oh, wait, heard about that.
The DOJ, they're alleging that Visa is exploiting its dominant market position to stifle competition and harm consumers.
So, potential monopolistic practices.
Yeah. The lawsuit claims Visa uses its control over both consumers and merchants to unfairly benefit itself and restrict consumer choice.
A classic antitrust case.
Yeah, Passies Group. They provide administrative and clinical support services for healthcare providers.
Right.
Their situation stems from investigations into their billing practices.
Interesting.
They disclosed that they received civil investigative demands from the federal government regarding their reimbursement and referral practices. And this combined with a third-party report raising concerns about their operations, it triggered a big drop in their stock price.
So, potential issues with billing and referrals.
Yeah. Maybe even hinting at fraud.
Not a good look, especially in healthcare.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Lastly, ASML Holding.
Okay.
They're a Dutch multinational specializing in photolithography systems.
Right. I know them.
Their lawsuit is about their financial projections and guidance. They lowered their financial outlook for 2025.
Why is that?
They cited lower than expected bookings and a reduced gross margin target.
So, a slower growth than they initially anticipated?
Yeah. And investors reacted accordingly. Their stock price dropped sharply.
The semiconductor industry can be pretty volatile.
Definitely. It's possible they They overestimated the current upcycle's strength.
It happens?
That's a lot of shareholder alerts.
It is. A lot to unpack there.
Definitely a mix of cautionary tales and potential opportunities.
Agreed. And it really highlights the importance of staying informed.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, especially in the financial world.
Couldn't agree more. Lot to unpack there. A lot of shareholder lawsuits to go through.
Definitely. Some surprising ones in there.
Yeah.
Visa, for one. Don't see a payments giant like that facing these kinds of allegations every day.
Right. The Department of Justice, they're going after Visa's market dominance, saying they're using anti-competitive practices.
To stifle the competition.
Yeah, and potentially harming consumers in the process.
So what are they actually accused of doing?
Well, the DOJ claims Visa's leveraging its huge network, consumers, merchants, creating barriers to entry for smaller competitors.
Makes it harder for those smaller companies to even get a foothold.
Exactly. They also allege that Visa's coercing merchants into using only their platform.
To limiting choices.
Yeah, and potentially driving up costs for consumers.
David versus Goliath, but with billions of dollars on the line.
It really raises the question, how do we ensure fair competition when a few powerful players hold so much sway?
That's a big question. Now, shifting to healthcare, PayCS Group.
Right. They're under scrutiny for their billing and referral practices.
The federal government's investigating whether they're complying with regulations.
And they delayed their third quarter earnings release.
Which is never a good sign.
Makes you wonder if the investigation uncovered more than just simple errors.
Healthcare billing is complicated, but those civil investigative demands, they suggest there might be some serious irregularities there.
Transparency is so important in healthcare. Any hint of wrongdoing can really erode trust.
Speaking of transparency, the case against ASML Holding. That's all about their revised financial projections for 2025.
Right. They lowered their guidance significantly,
citing lower than expected bookings and a reduced gross margin target.
Investors were definitely caught off guard by that announcement.
Yeah. The semiconductor industry, it's known for being cyclical. Maybe they misjudged the current cycle.
It's possible. Forecasting in volatile industries like that, it's always a challenge.
Even for industry leaders like ASML.
Exactly. Now, the lawsuit against Celsius Holdings, that one caught my attention.
Their dealings with PepsiCo.
Right. The lawsuit alleges that Celsius, maybe trying to boost their sales figures, they flooded PepsiCo with inventory.
More than the market could actually handle.
Exactly. Oversold it.
And as PepsiCo started working through that surplus,
Celsius's sales suffered.
A reminder that sustainable growth requires a balance.
Between ambition and a realistic assessment of the market.
Now, Zeta Global Holdings, their case stands out because of those allegations of unethical practices.
Right, trying to inflate their financial performance.
The lawsuit claims they used two-way contracts, round-trip transactions, and even those predatory consent forms.
Yeah, those are websites or apps designed to trick users into giving consent for data collection.
Without them even realizing it.
Exactly, using misleading language, design elements, obscuring the true purpose of the data gathering.
Which is then used for targeted advertising and other marketing.
Raises some serious ethical concerns. How far will some companies go for financial gain?
It also highlights the importance of data privacy, ethical data collection practices.
Consumers are more aware now how their data is being used. They're demanding transparency and control.
Right. Now, the Match Group lawsuit, that focuses on their projections for Tinder's recovery.
Right. They're accused of downplaying the challenges Tinder was facing, misleading investors about its growth potential.
Painting a rosier picture than reality warranted.
Which ultimately harmed investors who relied on those projections.
Overpromising and under-delivering.
Investors need to be cautious. Critically evaluate company projections. Consider the risks and challenges.
Rent or kill initial. They faced a lawsuit after revising their revenue growth expectations for North America.
Right. They significantly lowered those expectations.
Blaming it on lower than anticipated trading activity and challenges integrating new branches.
Combination of external market factors and internal operational challenges.
Shows the importance of transparency, proactive communication.
Especially when it comes to changes or uncertainties that could impact performance.
No, Symbiotic. Their lawsuit is about those accounting errors.
They had to restate their financials. Errors in revenue recognition related to cost overruns.
Seems like a bookkeeping error,
Yeah.
but it had a big impact on investors.
Highlights the need for strong internal controls. Accurate financial reporting.
Investor trust depends on that.
Absolutely. And finally, Five9.
The Cloud Contact Center Solutions Company,
Right. They had to reduce their annual revenue guidance.
citing tough economic conditions, tighter customer budgets.
Their stock price took a hit after that announcement.
Perhaps their initial projections were a bit too optimistic.
Shows how important it is for companies to stay informed about economic trends, adjust their forecasts accordingly.
All these lawsuits, it's a reminder that even in a strong economy, there are still risks out there.
They underscore the importance of due diligence, transparency, ethical conduct.
Things to keep in mind no matter what you're investing in.
Absolutely, whether it's stocks, bonds, real estate, even cryptocurrencies.
A lot of shareholder lawsuits, meme coin drama. It's a lot.
Definitely paints a picture of the financial landscape. Complex one.
Risks everywhere you look. Makes you wonder where to even start.
Well, knowledge is power, right? The more informed investors are, the better.
Absolutely. Got to do your homework, look beyond the hype, dig into the financials, the management team, the business practices, understand the market,
Due diligence is key.
and diversification too. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Spreading your investments, different asset classes, different industries, helps mitigate that risk.
Going back to Haley Welch for a second.
The Tuah girl.
Yeah, I think there are lessons there for all investors, not just the crypto crowd.
It's a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
Speculation, hype.
Getting caught up in the get-rich-quick mentality,
Mm-hmm.
it's dangerous.
There are no guarantees in investing.
And those celebrity endorsements.
They can lend an air of legitimacy, even if the investment itself is, well, risky.
Got to be a critical thinker. Do your own research. Understand the risks. And never invest more than you can afford to lose.
Solid advice.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us for this financial news roundup.
Always a pleasure.
Remember, we're just sharing information here. Always consult with a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Stay informed, stay curious, and stay ahead of the game.
Until